Welcome to Njardarheimer. This is a reproduction of what the Viking village might have looked like 1,000 years ago. You probably already have a mental image of the Viking Age as a time when rough men come on their long ships, steal everything that isn't nailed to the ground, put fire to everything else, kill some people, capture other people, and in general making a nuisance of themselves in all of Europe. This was in many ways the secret behind the success of the Vikings. 1,000 years ago, these were the best seagoing vessels in the world. They are fast and extremely seaworthy. This one is just a little one, so this is a Viking boat, not a Viking ship. To be a small Viking ship, it would have to be at least a little bit longer and have a mast. But it's built in the same way as the ships. This building technique with planks overlapping like this is called clinker built. And in between here, you have a layer of wool covered with tar to make it waterproof, and then it's closed off with these iron nails. If it was entirely properly made, then these planks should be made from split wood, not sawn wood. Because when you use wedges to split planks from a log, instead of sawing them, you get all the fibers of the wood going in the same direction, and you get a really flexible plank. Because when you're out in rough seas, you will occasionally have one wave that lifts up the back end of the ship, and then another wave lifts up the front, so the middle is completely off the sea. And if that happens and the ship is stiff and hard, it might break. But a properly made Viking ship will just flex and follow the water.
They were musical, of course, because it's all humans. We have rhythm sense and music in us. So yeah, just for fun, maybe for dancing.
This is a munnharpe, you say Norwegian, or jawharp. And this kind of instrument has been used all over the world actually. The special thing with the Norwegian ones, they are made for melodies. And in the rest of the world they use them for rhythms. But they have been used all over the world for maybe a couple of thousand years. And they are made out of steel and iron, but you can also made them out of bronze or whatever you like. And even in the Viking Age they liked music, just as we do today. Munnharpe.
Society in the Viking Age was divided into three classes. You have the Jarl, the Carl, and the Thrall. Jarls are the leaders. They live in houses like this, and they are noticeably richer and more powerful than everybody else. Then you have the Carls. Carls are ordinary people, mostly farmers who own their own land, but also merchants and craftsmen like blacksmiths, jewelers, charcoal burners, and so on. So they might be very rich or very poor. And at the very bottom, you have the Thralls. And the Thrall is the same as a slave. And I don't think it would be fun to be a slave in any society, but you are probably a little bit better off if you are a thrall to the Vikings than, say, for instance, a slave to the Roman Empire. Almost everybody lives on their own little farms. Even living in a Viking village like here would be pretty uncommon in the Viking Age. When you live like that, when you live on a small farm with your extended family, maybe one or two friends who hasn't gotten their own farms yet, and a little handful of these thralls or slaves, at least I think it would be in your best interest to treat them kind of decently. Because there will be weapons and tools lying around, and at some point you have to go to sleep, and it's always a good idea to have a strategy where waking up the next morning is more likely than the alternative. This is the minimum ornament for a free man in the western part of Norway in the Viking Age. I have a belt weapon. shield and a spear. So as a general rule, weapons are light. When an archaeologist finds an axe head, if it's little and light, it's probably a weapon, and if it's big and heavy, it's probably a tool. Because when you're working with wood, you want the weight of the axe head to do some of the work for you, but when you are fighting, speed and precision is much more important. Textiles is one area where the Vikings keep getting misrepresented. Just notice it the next time you see Vikings in a movie or a TV series. Their clothes very often look like something that's been hobbled together on short notice by somebody sleep-deprived and possibly also drunk. So what little we have of textile finds from the Viking Age show really good craftsmanship. People in the Viking Age with a lot of money or a lot of knowledge could be quite colorful. All of these colors you can make with more or less local plant coloring. Perhaps the simplest color to make is yellow, because if you boil wool with practically any green plant, you will get a yellow color. For blue, the Vikings used woad. And woad grows naturally in Norway, so that's not a problem. This bush with the yellow flowers is woad. The problem is that you also have to use ammonia to fix the color. And the Vikings got ammonia from urine. So you have a big pot of urine, add woad, leave it out in the sun for 2 to 3 weeks until it smells really, really bad, and now you can add the wool. And again, you have to heat it up very carefully, because if it gets too hot, it turns green instead. But if you take it out at exactly the right temperature, 70 degrees centigrade, it's still green while it's in the pot, but as soon as you take it out, it will react with oxygen in the air and turn blue. And this is also one of the things that really impresses me with the people of the Viking Age, because they don't know anything about the chemistry and the physics that goes into this. Everything they know because of experimentation. And I have to say, I wonder, how many pots of weird ingredients do you have to boil before you come up with this?